Hi, my name is Donna Weidemann, and for several years I was a project manager at Environ Corporation as an environmental consultant.
Okay, what was your favorite part about being a manager?
I think my favorite part was seeing a project through from its inception, maybe as a bid, into field work, getting reports done, meeting with clients. So,
Okay,
sense of accomplishment.
a sense of accomplishment.
Mhm.
Okay. If you had a previous boss that you did not enjoy working for, why did you feel this way? And if you can answer this question, how does it relate to their management or managerial style?
Well, prior to Environment, I was at another environmental consulting firm, and I figured out that my bosses would take my ideas and then propose them to upper level management as their own. So I did not stay there very long, only for 2 years, and then I left.
What was the biggest challenge about your job as a manager?
Well, in environmental consulting, the jobs are pretty much time and materials, so we had to estimate how long tasks would take, what other kind of materials we'd have to buy, and coming in within time and budgetary constraints.
Okay. What was something that you did on a daily basis to check in with your employees that you managed?
I would probably see them on a daily basis. The office setup was such that people had their own offices, and we might see each other in a break room, or actually I would go over sometimes and see someone to talk to them.
So more face-to-face.
Much more face-to-face than today.
Okay. How did you assess and decide how to best motivate specific employees? And if you have any specific examples, that would be good too.
Well, in the consulting world, people have to be fairly self-motivated because of time constraints. There isn't always a lot of, you can't digress from your job or whatever, because your client is not going to want to pay for you to go follow some trail. So mostly just keeping in touch and letting people know what was expected and when that was due. That would keep people fairly well motivated, I think.
So it sounds like you didn't really have to imply a lot of external motivation. It was more intrinsic. It was reliant on internal motivation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What are some qualities that you found in good employees and bad employees?
Well, good employees were good at communicating, were not afraid to ask questions without, because sometimes you get stuck, and if you wasted a lot of time and billed it to the client, but you weren't getting to where you needed to be. So the ability to come and ask questions, the employees that had more trouble with either were too afraid to ask questions or just think they were doing things right and go on ahead, and then it would find out later on that they weren't doing what was needed to be done for the project.
Okay. What qualities did you look for in younger/newer employees?
The desire to learn new things, and again, that ability to communicate and willingness to communicate was probably some of the most important things. And there also, for us, since we wrote many reports, their ability to write.
So would you say, I guess actually we'll just keep going on to the next question here. What has been the most successful strategy that you have implemented, or the most successful strategy that you thought you implemented in your managerial role?
Well, early on, before I was a manager, I had a supervisor who basically explained to us, well, he said, okay, he would explain the job to me, and then I had to explain it back to him. What my understanding was, what I needed to do, when I need to get things done by. And that helped me focus, and also helped him understand when I didn't understand something. And so I employed that same type of face-to-face communication, maybe with one or a few people, to explain what we needed to do, and then they needed to explain back what they needed to do.
So it was kind of reciprocating or repeating feedback?
Yes.
Direct feedback or direct, feedback isn't the word I'm looking for. Tasks, anything? Okay. The next question I have is that initiative and adaptive people are desired in the workplace. How can you distinguish these attributes in an interview process?
I'm not sure. That's a hard one. Again, at that time, much was face to face, and so sometimes you get a sense of, you get to talk to a person, not just about the job, but other things that they do, and see what kind of initiative they would take and things that they were interested in, or previous positions.
Right. Did you actually, part of the interview process, did you take them on site somewhere to kind of see how they were doing, or was it purely face to face in a room or an office?
Face to face in an office, usually with several managers, so that everybody could get a different sense, and then we would meet as managers and discuss the potential employee.
Okay. Did you notice stereotypes and prejudice around your office? And if you did, how did you work to mitigate those?
Well, in consulting field, there was, for some people, prejudice against women. And so the way I worked that was just to do my job and to do it well, and oftentimes better than the guys, so that your supervisor, your immediate supervisor would recognize that and move you forward.
So it was just a simple matter of keeping your head down and doing the work.
Initially, yeah. As I got more experience, I learned also better myself how to, I don't want to say promote myself, but to present myself better and my competencies better.
How?
Maybe being more comfortable in talking directly with clients, for instance, obtaining new contracts and whatever with clients, and that would give an indication that people outside the company felt comfortable with you to bring in new business.
Was it something that you ever addressed?
What's
The stereotypes and prejudice issues? Is it something that you brought to your manager's attention?
No, most of it kind of over time weeded itself out. And the last place I was at, an environment, that was not really a big problem. It was more the previous position, the one I left, where the bosses would take my ideas and present them as theirs.
Right. Okay. How did you work on becoming a better manager? And did you believe that you had any natural talents that made you a good manager?
Well, I could organize and monitor the project from a time and money standpoint, ability to talk to clients on my own. What was it? What was the rest of that question? I'm thinking.
Did you believe you had any natural talents that made you a good manager, or was it something that you had to look into how to do well?
No, it was just kind of a natural progression. In our line of work, it was a progression from working in the field and then writing reports, and then as you gain more experience and if you could handle the responsibility, you moved into managerial roles.
Okay. How did you communicate or accommodate different communication styles in the workplace? So that really means between different employees.
Right. Once I got to know them, I could usually keep a handle on like people who always turn things in late. I'd kind of give them a little false deadline, but if you get it on time, it works. Really just knowing the people who were working on the project and making sure that they knew deadlines, and just, again, most people were fairly self-motivated, so it usually worked out okay.
Okay, did you ever have to mitigate different communication styles between people who were having issues?
I'm trying to think. Nothing that really, there were issues like that. Sometimes it had to get bumped up to a higher level to have someone deal with two people who didn't want to work together, and like you would try to get them to work together. So our company wasn't that huge, but you have to be able to sometimes work with people you don't like.
Yeah. And the last question I have is, what would your advice be to a new manager?
Well, hopefully, hopefully you've worked in the company some, so you understand how the company works and what the expectations are for a manager and the people that report to them. And so if you're a new manager, making sure you understand those roles and then express them directly to the people who report to you. So any relationship is based upon expectations. And so I think if things are spoken, or sometimes they're written or whatever, and then people know what is expected of them, you have a better managerial subordinate role.
All about managing expectations.
Part of it's managing expectations, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.